Hi there, welcome to my new video on data modeling in Power BI Desktop. So what is data modeling? Data modeling is the process of analyzing the data and their relationship to the other data. It is used to analyze the data requirements that are required for data analysis. In real work environment or companies, data comes from different sources and stored in different database, tables and files. Not only different tables or database, different types of database and sources. Having access to data from multiple sources and reconciling this data can lead to better and more informed decisions. We can make decisions based on complete understanding of our business. In a real work environment, we as a data analyst have to talk to different stakeholders to identify their requirement, what insight that they want to see, and data sources. Then we have to go through different data sources to identify the relevant data to work on. So data modeling is nothing but going through different data sources to identify the relevant data to work on for our analysis and establishing relationship between those data. Data model is basically a blueprint or a design how the data should be stored in the database. It involves application of formal techniques like normalization and creation of entity relationship diagram. So after going through different data sources to identify the relevant data to work on for our analysis, we work on designing phase where we create the entity relationship diagram, which is nothing but a blueprint of data modeling, which shows what are the tables or database we are going to work on and the relationship between those tables, how these tables or database are going to interact or communicate with each other. To create ER diagram or to do data modeling, we should have some basic knowledge of entity, relationship and normalization. Let's discuss about these concepts in short. Normalization is the process of eliminating redundancy and inconsistency of data to achieve optimization of time and memory. Let's discuss about entity and relationship. So, what is entity? Entities are real world objects and objects have attributes. So, whatever we see around us are objects: pen, book, bottle, school, class, student, person, everything. Object has attribute and characteristic. For an example, student is an entity and its attributes are name, address, age, gender, etc. The second point is that in database, data are stored in tabular form which contains entity and their attribute. So in table, data are stored in rows and columns. Each row represents the entity and column represents the attribute. The third point is relationships are the established association between entities. So relationships are connection between two different entities, how two different entities are related or connected to each other. For an example, person is an entity, car is another entity. The relationship between person and car is a person can purchase a car, a person can own a car, a person can drive a car. So there are many kind of relationship can exist between two entities. There are three types of relationship between the data entity we encounter in the designing phase: one to one, one to many, and many to many. There are four types of relationship exist between entities. For data modeling, we deal with only three types of relationship: one to one to many, and many to many. In one-to-one relationship, one entity has only one association or relation with other entity. For an example, one can have only one passport number. One student can have only one student login ID. In one-to-many relationship, one entity has many relationship or association with other entity. For an example, one postal code can belong to many people. One postal code belong to many people. One and many. One can have multiple cars. One and many. One, one person, multiple cars. In many-to-many relationship, multiple records in a table are associated with multiple records in another table. Example, student can belong to multiple classes, or one class can have multiple students. So multiple student, multiple classes. Customer can purchase multiple product, and one product can belong to multiple customers. So multiple product, multiple customers. So it is many to many relationship. This symbol represents one to one relationship. This one represents one to many relationship, and this one represents many to many relationship. Let's go to Power BI desktop. Now we are going to do data modeling of sales data of a company named ABC Superstore. It has branches across United States. It deals with the sales of furniture, office supply, technology, etc. And the data are stored in three different locations. Some data are in SQL, some data are in Excel, and some data are in CSV. So we are going to import data from all these three different locations and going to establish relationship between these data. Power BI can automatically establish relationship between different data sets based on the common or related column between them. To get this feature, go to File, then Options and Settings, then Options, then Current File, then Data Load. Here in Relationship, make sure that the first and the last checkbox is selected. First one is Import Relationship from Data Sources on first load, and auto detect new relationship after data is loaded. Then click OK. Let's import the data from different sources. For that, go to Home tab, then Get Data. Let's upload the Excel file first. Select the file name, then select the sheet name. Here I'm going to select order data. Then let's import the data from CSV file. Select the file name, then load the data. Let's go to SQL Server, then server name, click OK. Here I'm going to select address, product, and customer file. Then in data view, we can see all the table name that we have imported. We can do data transformation work to suit our analysis need. But here I'm going to do data modeling directly. Let's go to model view. Here we can see all the imported tables and the column name present in that table. Some of the relationship between the tables are already established by Power BI based on the common column between them. From the symbol, we can say that it's one to many relationship. If you go over the relationship line, the column name of two table is highlighted based on which the relationship is established. We can also establish relationship between two tables manually. For that, we just have to drag the field name from the table based on which we want to establish the relationship and drop that field name in other table like this. Here you can see one to many relationship is established. Likewise, we can establish relationship between order and return table. Just drag the order ID from return table and drop it in order table, order ID. Here you can see one-to-one relationship is established. If there are two or more related columns between two tables, we can establish more than one relationship between the table. For that, we have to drag the field name from the one table and drop it on the column name of another table. Let's drag the product name from product table and drop it in product name of order table. Here you will get options to establish relationship many to one, one to many to many. Here I am going to do the many to many and cross filter direction both, then click OK. But only one relationship can be active at a time. The solid line represents the active relationship and the dotted line represents the inactive relationship. Video on data modeling star schema in Power BI desktop. To do star schema data modeling, we must be aware of some basic concepts: entity and relationship, normalization, schema, star schema, fact table, dimensional table. Let's discuss about these concepts in short. Entity and relationship. In my previous video, I have explained in details about entity and relationship. Please refer to that to understand these concepts. In short, entities are real world objects and relationships are the connection between two entities or objects, or how the two entities are related to each other. There are four types of relationship exist between two entities. For data modeling, we need to know about three types: one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. In one-to-one relationship, one entity has only one association or relation with other entity. It denotes with this symbol. In one-to-many relationship, one entity has many relationship or association with other entity. It denotes with this symbol. And in many-to-many relationship, multiple records in a table are association with multiple records in other table. And it's represented by this symbol. Normalization is the process of organizing the data in the database. This includes creating tables and establishing relationship between those tables to make the database more flexible by minimizing the redundancy and eliminating inconsistent dependency. So, what is redundancy and inconsistent dependency? Redundancy is repetition of similar kind of data or duplicate data. Inconsistent dependency is the link or association between data is missing or inconsistent. So, why do we want to minimize the redundancy? Because the repetition of the data increases the size of the database. So, in normalization, we create tables and establish relationship between those tables to achieve optimization in terms of memory and time. Let's take a very basic example to understand normalization. This is an employee details table. It has employee ID, employee name, and department head name. All these employees are belong to HR department and their department head is Amrita. Here we can see the department name HR and department head name Amrita are repeated so many times. To normalize this table, we can create two different tables for two different entity, employee and department, and establish relationship between these two tables using primary and foreign key. Let's do that. Let's create a table for employee, then create another table for department. Let's connect these two tables, employee and department, using a primary key, department ID. Let's make it 100 and put this department key, department ID as a foreign key for employee table. So now both the employee and department tables are connected to each other using a common column between them, that is department ID. Here one can say that there is a repetition of department ID in employee table. Note that normalization is not about eliminating data redundancy, it's about minimizing data redundancy. Let's discuss about schema. Schema is a structured framework or plan which defines how data points are organized and connected to each other. So, schema is basically the architecture of database. This contains table names, their attributes, and connection with other tables. So, what is star schema? In star schema framework, one fact table is surrounded by multiple dimensional table. It looks like star, so it's called star schema. So, what is fact and dimensional table? Fact table stores quantitative data. It holds foreign key with reference to the primary key of dimensional table. Fact table contains the measuring of the attributes of dimensional table. In short, fact table represents numerical data. We can perform mathematical calculations or we can aggregate or summarize the data. Dimensional table stores qualitative or descriptive data. It holds the primary key. It stores attributes describing the facts in fact table. So, dimensional table represents the categorical or descriptive data and holds the primary key. And fact table contains the foreign key with reference to the primary key of the dimensional table to summarize the data about different dimensions. This is a star schema architecture where the order table is a fact table which is surrounded by multiple dimensional table, customers, products, ship mode, address. The order table contains numerical data, order date, ship date, profit, quantity, sales, etc. And it also contains the foreign key with reference to the primary key of dimensional tables, customer, product, ship mode, and address. Let's know a bit about our dataset. This dataset contains sales data of a company named ABC Superstore. It has branches across United States. It deals with the sales of furniture, office supply, technology, etc. It has various columns: order ID, order date, ship date, customer segment, state, postal code, region, product ID, and so on. Now we are going to create a star schema data model for this data following this blueprint in Power BI desktop. Let's jump to Power BI. Let's import the data. Go to Home tab, then Get Data, then Excel Workbook, then select the file name, then select the sheet, then transform. Now we are in the Power Query Editor page where we can clean and transform data. Here in queries, we can see the imported file name, and here we can see our data, how the data looks like, the rows and columns. In applied steps, we can see the list of changes that we do on our data to suit our analysis need. So we are going to create 5 tables and establish relationship between those tables. Let's create 4 duplicate table from this table. For that, select the table name, then right click, then duplicate, then again, and one more. Let's rename these tables based on the schema. So we are going to create customer, product, order, ship mode, and address. So let's rename it as order table. For that, select the table name, then right click, then rename, then order, then second one, rename customers, and ship mode. Let's start with dimensional table. Let's first create the customer table. In customer table, we need only customer ID, customer name, and segment. And customer ID is the primary key. Let's go to customer table. Here we are going to keep only customer ID, customer name, and segment. And rest of the columns we are going to delete it. For that, hit Control key, then select the column that we want to delete. We are going to keep customer ID, customer name, and segment, and rest of the columns, city, state, postal code, region. Then go to Home tab, then remove columns, then remove columns. Here we got only 3 columns: customer ID, customer name, and segment. And here in customer table, customer ID is the primary key, so it should be unique. To remove duplicate values from customer ID column, select customer ID column, then right click, then remove duplicates. Now all the duplicate values from customer ID column is deleted. Now it contains only unique customer ID. In product table, we are going to keep only product ID, product name, category, and subcategory. Product ID is the primary key. Let's create in Power BI Desktop. In product table, we are going to keep only product ID, product name, category, and subcategory. So hit Control key, then delete the columns that is not required. Here we don't need this zip mode, customer ID, customer name. We are going to keep product ID, product category, product name, okay, product subcategory. We are not going to keep sales, quantity, discount. Now go to Home tab, then remove columns, and here we are having product table which contains only product ID, category, subcategory, and product name. And here product ID is the primary key, so it should contain unique product ID. To delete duplicate product IDs, select the product ID column, then right click, then duplicate, remove duplicates. Let's create the address table. This table we need only postal code, city, and state, and postal code is the primary key. Let's select the columns that is not required, hit Control, then select the columns, then we need this city, state, and postal code. Don't select that one. Then go to Home tab, then remove columns, then remove column. Here postal code is the primary key, so it should be unique. To make this postal code column unique, select the column, then right click, then remove duplicate. Let's create the SIP mode table. In SIP mode table, we need SIP mode ID and SIP mode. In our data set, SIP mode ID column is not there, so we have to create that. Let's delete all the columns that is not required. We need only SIP mode column, so select SIP mode column, then go to manage columns, then remove columns, then remove other columns. Let's remove all the duplicate values from SIP mode column. For that, select the column, then right click, then remove duplicates. Let's create the primary key for SIP mode table. For that, go to add column, then index column, then custom. Let's make the starting index as 1001 and increment 1, then click OK. Let's rename the column as SIP mode ID. For that, right click, then rename. Now let's create the order table. In order table, we need order ID, order date, ship date, profit, quantity, sales. customer ID, ship mode ID, product ID, and postal code. Let's select the columns that we want to delete. Hit Control key, then select the columns. I want to keep order ID, order date, ship mode, customer ID. Let's delete customer name, segment, country, city, state, postal code. We want to keep it. Region, category, subcategory, product name. Then go to Home tab, then Manage columns, remove column, then remove column. We don't need this ship mode column in order table. We need ship mode ID in place of this column. I have purposefully kept this ship mode column here so that I can bring ship mode ID column from ship mode table based on the common column between them, that is ship mode column. Now let's bring the ship mode ID column in order table. For that, go to Home tab, then Merge Queries. Here we are merging order table with ship mode table based on the common column between them, that is ship mode column, and join kind is left outer join. Then click OK. A new column is created. Just click over here. Here you will get all the field names present in the ship mode table. Here we want only ship mode ID to bring in. So select ship mode ID, then click OK. And here you go, the ship mode ID is here. Now let's delete the ship mode column that we don't need it in order table. Just select the column, then go to Home tab, then remove columns, then remove column. And here we have all the field names that we need in the order table. So let's go to Home tab, then close and apply. Now let's go to model view. Here we can see some of the relationship between two tables are already established by Power BI. We have to create one more, that is the relationship between order table and ship mode table. For that, just drag this ship mode ID from ship mode table and drop it in ship mode ID in order table. And here you go. A star schema data model is created in Power BI following this star schema. That's all for this video. Thank you.